That break, this is still GH Today here on GH1 TV. My name is Lily Mohammed. It's now time for the breakfast review. My guests are seated. A number of issues to unpack this morning. There's a harmonized health service report that suggests that only 5% of health facilities in Ghana are well equipped. How then do we achieve universal health coverage? Nana Fredua Ajiman Ofiriata is board chair for the National Theatre. He's a member of the NPP communications team. Richard Manuribe is former deputy director, a former parliamentary aspirant from Kwanta South, and a member of the NDC communications team. Michael Sarfo-Kantanka is communications team member for Movement for Change. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
How are you doing? How was your weekend? Nana, how was your weekend?
Exciting.
Exciting?
Yeah.
Really?
You guys don't come to the National Theatre, so you don't see what's going on there.
Well, no. It's been a long time I visited the National Theatre.
Every time you invite me and you mention the post, you know I take advantage and talk about it.
Yes, it's very
and
important.
I invite you guys there, nobody shows up.
Well, I have never been invited, so if you invite me.
Aren't you in GH1?
Yes, but you don't invite me.
Don't you watch the program?
I do.
Don't you hear the words from my mouth?
I do.
So how come you don't come?
Well, now that you mentioned, I will show up. But it's good to know that it was an exciting weekend for you. Mine was quite
local
busy.
Production, and a whole lot of people came. It was titled "The Legend of Akusika."
Yes. I heard of that, but I was busy with academics. So
we need to patronize our own.
Absolutely, and I think that there's a shift when it comes to local production now. People,
a lot.
There are a lot of people who are eager to see the next production. Okay, what is this one telling? What is the storyline? Who is in it? I mean, I saw pictures of it on social media. New faces in there. People that ordinarily you not see on stage plays, and commentary suggests that you did quite well. And I think that it's something that
I'll tell you that the productions that we do in Ghana are extraordinary. They're international standard productions. So we should not take it for granted. It's the really serious stuff. The actors, the producers, the directors, they're all up there. We need to support the arts. It's important,
Richard, what about you?
It was a quiet time.
Really?
Weekend, my parliamentary candidate was arrested at Cantonment Police Station. We need to run around, make sure he was granted bail, and taking her back to her constituency, besides rushing to Tema.
And you're accusing the police of bias.
Yeah, we'll talk about that then. And then, rushing back to Tema with the incoming President John Dramani, missing the fisher folks and making sure we talk to them at the fishing harbor, and back to church and other activities, and waking up at dawn and being here.
I know.
I know. It was a little bit hectic. But anyway, we are serving the country, and then we must also protect the integrity of our party, and people intimidating party people and other things. So, we give all to God. Let's hope.
Michael, how's the Movement for Change doing?
Very well, Lily. Good morning to your viewers and to our supporters in Tamale. You know we are going there tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, God willing. Honorable Alan Martin is going there. Actually, let me seize this moment to say happy birthday to Mrs. Patricia Christabel Martin.
Okay.
The First Lady for the Movement for Change. Soon to become Ghana's First Lady. We are celebrating her today for her birthday. She's been a pillar in this movement, and to some of us a mother, and so I think it's in order. The weekend was a good one, even though a bit stressful with the traffic situation around Legon. I just found myself in there, and there was the Doomsaw Vigil going on. But we took consolation in the fact that, it was a good thing. We are all seeing the effects of the Doomsaw, and so if people are raising awareness and calling for some resolution to it, then it's a good one, and so we supported them, and so that's it. We are here again by the grace of God to discuss issues of national importance.
There was a report by a harmonized health service report on Ghana's healthcare delivery, and in that report it suggests that only 5% of health facilities in Ghana are well equipped to offer quality healthcare service. And for us as Ghanaians, this obviously should be worrying. One of the things that also caught my attention was the fact that only 38% of all facilities offering inpatient services have dedicated isolation beds. And also 32% of facilities have access to emergency transport system for patients. So that's also critical here. Let me start with you, Michael.
Yes. So, thank you. The Ghana Health Service, with the help of the World Health Organization, did what we call the Harmonized Health Facilities Assessment. Basically, that presents a baseline for to inform policies, people interested in health investments and all that. And having experienced a bit of a health system, I've done some work there with the World Bank.
Okay.
And so what this contributes is very crucial to our development, because one thing that has been a challenge is the fact that we can't even account for our state of what we have. You know, there's no proper documentation to tell people or to inform people who are even interested in doing some investments, contributing, coming on board to help our health sector. And so this is a very important database that I believe we can all pay particular attention to be able to, you know, go about, even as we campaign for change and all that, we can know specifics, which indicators we will want to focus on and all that. Now, that's for a developing country, the fact that most of our facilities lack some of these essential equipment is worrying. It's worrying. And going through the report, I saw a connection between the geographical location of a facility and the kind of even equipment they have, and then the kind of services they have to create demand for the facility. So, for instance, you have a facility in the middle of the city, like 37, and then you get there and they'll tell you oxygen is not working. Then there's a problem, because at that level you expect them to have almost all the equipment needed for tertiary, you know, healthcare delivery. And then you go to a facility like a CHIPS compound in a community like Konzokala in the Upper West region, and they'll tell you there's no midwife there. The mere fact there's no midwife will block a certain demand that the facility is supposed to drive for the people, because if there's no midwife, then they can have some skilled services delivered, especially in terms of maternal and child health delivery. And so it's crucial that we pay attention to this report. It's crucial that we not just publish it, but government takes drastic steps to address some of these gaps in health delivery. Because at the end of the day, health system, our complex health system can only be made useful to the people when the health practitioners have these equipment to work with. If they can't do diagnosis, if they can't do simple, to the extent there were even anesthesia machine is not there, it's not working, you know, it's problematic. It means how do people do surgeries? How are they going about calling themselves doctors when they can't perform simple surgeries because the equipment they need, all the surgicals are not there? Then there's a problem. You get to the rural areas and they are in the masses, so I like to focus on them. They are the ones who are supposed to be served by primary care facilities. In our resolve to attain a universal health coverage by 2030, the CHIPS policy, the Community Health Planning Services, has been our major contributing factor to attaining the universal health coverage. Because look, by the CHIPS policy, establishment of CHIPS compound community health services, we are able to serve our people who are the masses and the poor people especially. And so when you're counting in aggregate numbers, once you serve the masses, then you're actually doing well in attaining what we call the universal health coverage. And so if we are going to equip these primary care facilities with the basic things they need, like personnel, in terms of personnel, skilled personnel, in terms of some retroviral materials, in terms of the malaria treatments, malaria diagnostics, you know, some of these.
For the malaria diagnosis, the report says that all hospitals,
they're able to diagnose.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
same as the HIV.
Okay, so that's for communicable diseases. So that's a good one. And even with that, it's not 100%. It's not 100%. So yeah, 85, right? Yeah. So we should be able to do more. I mean, no matter how you look at it, I want to believe, because of government's focus on this Agenda 111, there's this neglect of all health facilities. And I get that from my conversations.
But is that Agenda 111 not a means to augment?
So while you do that, okay, as a political, with all the political climate around Agenda 111, people are getting sick. It's taking some time to get Agenda 111 projects ready. So what are you doing about it? We saw videos of Nsawam hospital leakage and all that. So people say Nsawam floods. You know, it breaks the heart. It's disheartening that we are unable to maintain the facilities. The last time it was a hospital in the Upper East, towards Navrongo Hospital. I think I sent to Dr. Nsiasari. These are issues you can't neglect, because it has to do with the well-being of your people, the health care of your people. And so, whereas it is good to have Agenda 111 come in to support in terms of facilities, it's important we maintain the ones we have. We can't just, for political score, focus and triumph, make so much noise about Agenda 111, when the ones we have, we are not maintaining them. You go to some of these, again, I'll go back to the remote areas. You post people that they don't want to go.
Especially the CHIPS compounds. A lot of them, according to the reports, do not have even a reliable source of electricity.
But you see, these are the problems. How do you go, if some of our projects contributed to some of these facelifts you see, that has allowed people to even go there. How do you expect people to live in these cubicles and all that? So it's important that government focuses on some of these primary care units. It's so crucial, because those are the people who cannot. And my sister, do you know, these guys don't suffer the kind of diseases we have at Konfanochi, Kolebu, and the 37. This is malaria, you know, this rural community. You go, it's malaria, tuberculosis, these communicable diseases. They don't suffer the stroke and these in the level we see in the
non-communicables.
Exactly, in the urban countries, communities. And so I believe it's not too much to ask that you furnish these places, and then let's provide incentives for these workers who are posted there. You don't take someone from Accra to all the way to some remote areas, of course, to serve, but then there should be incentives that will drive them to go and even cause them to stay and work in excitement, in joy. Because at the end of the day, you need them there. You need health workers. You need skilled health workers in these remote areas too. Unfortunately, they don't want to be there, and so the services they are supposed to render never gets, delivered, and the people in those places get to suffer. I believe it's about time we paid attention to this report we try to take decisions that will, in the very shortest time, correct some of these things. It's for oxygen not to work in some of these tertiary facilities. It just doesn't make sense at all.
Richard.
Let me say good morning to you and good morning to your cherished viewers and my co-panelists. Good morning to the good people of Nkwanta South constituency and Oti region as a whole. His Excellency, the incoming President of the Republic of Ghana, you heard him yesterday speaks, says good morning to every Ghanaian today, and he hopes that building the Ghana we want together, all of us collaboratively, will come out in come January to December to vote massively to elect President John Dramani Mahama and Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman as President and Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. Happily and coincidentally, we are discussing this report, which I'm so happy because when I saw the report yesterday night, I quickly forwarded it to Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, the running mate. You know why I did that? Because he's the Vice President who is going to take responsibility on health in this country. So I read the report. When I saw the report, I quickly went to the methodology of the report, and then I looked at the design of the report. So I was like, wanted to look at the credibility of the report before we can make any move of this. And I realized that it was not just someone sitting somewhere that was doing this report. It was a multi-partner organizations that came up to do this report. If you look at the UN MDG envoy, was part of it. US of 8, which basically the global community has a major role to play in our sanitation issues in this country. I also saw that most of the international organizations include in bringing this report together. So the credibility of the report is not doubt. I don't have any doubt about it. And if you look at the report critically, you could see that they've done a critical report on the report, and that's why I realized that they've been to all the regions, or the system regions. And if you care to know, they went to 138 district hospitals. And they've been to general hospitals, has been 163 assessments that they did. And then public polyclinics, they've been to 65 polyclinics, health centers, 404 health centers, and maternity homes, which is very critical, 72 of it. So, and then if you look at clinics, the clinics that we have, about 235 clinics that were examined, and chief compounds, which mainly was built by President John Dramani Mahama, was 328. So it was 1,421 health facilities that they visited and did a critical assessment of it, and then they came out with this report. So clearly, they didn't just sit in their corner and came out with this report. And it's so serious that we should take a critical look at it, because I've happened to work in the facility for so many years before I joined politics, because
so you worked in the hospital?
Yes, I was in the hospital. In fact, I was actually working in the theater before I quit and joined politics. So I actually have a fair idea of the happenings and the report that they are given. And clearly, the report that
which hospital?
I was at St. Joseph Hospital in Nkwanta South.
Nkwanta South.
Yes.
Which year was this?
Oh, from 2005 to 2009.
Okay,
so before I had my appointment and then left to do politics.
Okay.
So I clearly know the happenings. And then if you look at the key findings of the report, that you could see that we need to do critical introspections of the health service. You know, in the Ghana Health Service, we have the Christian Health Service and the Ghana Health Service. So that's the CHAC and the Ghana Health Service. I happen to work with the CHAC. That's the Christian Health Service, because St. Joseph Hospital is a Christian facility. And clearly the discipline between the CHAC and the Ghana Health Service is quite different, because the Christian facility look a little bit private, so they put in more effort in the health facilities build up than the government. The government, sometimes I'm not saying they're not doing best, but situations there is quite damning. And I happen to have a fair idea in the government hospital, because I used some, and then critically, when I became a director of employment, you know, we recruited the community health services, community health assistants. So I interacted with the health facilities and been to so many health facilities to do assessment on these things. And the report never lied. The report has given us a critical view in which we are. One thing, the report talk about emergency center, which we have, most of the hospitals doesn't have emergency centers. And it is true. It is really true that if you go to some hospitals now, in case of fatal accidents, in case you see the blood oozing into people, you take the person to some facilities. Even let me use the then voter region and Oti region now. they will tell you, take the patient to Trafalgar. And when you are moving that patient to a facility, because they don't have the facility, to Trafalgar, now just imagine, the reports also talk about transportation system of transporting the patients from one facility to another facility. You could clearly, I happen to go to a community, a district, Bunkurugu Yuyu district. Yuyu. And then when I went to Bunkurugu Yuyu, at the district assembly, there was a patient who was actually dying. He was almost at the verge of dying, even though I didn't know the diagnosis though. But he was coming now to renew his health insurance facility. And guess what? This patient was in Abubuya. You understand? The patient was in Abubuya. So how will you transfer somebody from Yuyu, if you know Yuyu, and the terrible road to Nakpandure? And so what will have been the condition from Yuyu to Nakpandure with an Abubuya? And that's what the report talk about, the transportation system of this. So we need to improve on that. Yes, government will say that, yeah, we have an ambulance system. But how many of them are motorable now? How many of them are even accessible now? Before, even the accessibility today, if you even have an ambulance, the ambulance picking a patient to another facility, they will tell the government have not provided fuel. I think we know about that. So the patient relative has to be able to mobilize something to buy fuel, transport the patient into the other facility. Is it financially sound to do that? So these are the things. And the report also talk about sanitation in the facilities. If you look at major health facilities now, if you go there, you'll be amazed if this is clearly a health facility. Because in a facility where even the orderlies in the facility are not even taken care of. Some of them has been in the facility for so many years that have not been migrated or that have been mechanized into the payroll system. So they go there with a table incentive. And that is the major problem we are having. They go there with a table incentive, and with a table incentive, they feel reluctant to work. And because the facility don't have enough money to take care of, to pay salaries, because they are on table incentive, one orderly will clean maternity ward, go to labor ward, now go to surgical ward, and end up at minor theater. One person. Before you finish, maybe the doctor must have even gone around to see the patients. And before he does that, the contamination, because the place is filthy. So these are the things we should critically be looking at. They talk about oxygen and major centers facility. Yes, I understand. That is why I have a little bit doubt about the facilities that we don't have. This government should actually look at. We propose.
You say you have doubt.
I have doubt because some facilities. I think they mentioned about 5 or 6 facilities that don't have oxygen. But I know a facility like UGMC will not have an oxygen issue. I think yes, a facility like a maritime hospital will not have an oxygen issue. A facility like the bank hospital will not have
You think it will
clearly because when President John Dramani Mahama and the NDC set up those facilities, we look at the
how many years ago was this?
That was about 5-6 years ago now.
The NPP has been in government for 8 years
No,
now.
I think that before we left power. Let me just make that point.
Before you left power, that's like
it's 8 years ago.
Before, so it was not in 2016.
So obviously. So that's why I said
so like 9 years.
So I'm making a point.
How many people have visited?
I am making a point. That's why I have doubt because if the current government will have not been able to make sure that they rebound our oxygen plant to be able to refinish it. That's why I say I have doubt about it, because I think the measures were put in place without design. That there's no way we will lack oxygen in those centers because they are exceptional and special hospitals and the quaternary hospitals that were put in measures to make sure all these things were done to curb the situation in there. Then the report also talks about computers in the system and internet system. You know, President John Dramani Mahama in the NDC in our manifesto before we talk about e-medicine. And e-medicine is a critical situation in which we are looking at. We are looking at making sure that all the facilities has been able to get Wi-Fi and computer system. That is why we did the fiber optic system to make sure that we put in the Eastern Corridor route and other part of it and building up the IT system so that every facility will have it. So in the diagnosis system that is all, you know, you have been a chief compound. I know you and Dr. Ono have done a good job in the Ghana Health Survey at the PPME sector. And we know that we're trying to do making sure that all the chief compounds will have e-medicine, because some of the diagnosis, because if you look at the chief compound, it's the community health nurses that are there. Their responsibility is to curb the communicable disease and community. Then we refer it to the district hospitals. So we did was that we look at the facilities, and then we posted the disease control unit. You know, in the disease control unit, we have officers that will train them for disease control. So why they do preventive health? And that is major things we should be looking at. I think we should be advocating on that sector, because when we invest more in preventive health, all these things will not happen, because people will not understand the importance of being health alert, and they will not carve that into. Today, we have dialysis and kidney issues that we are all battling it, and government cannot even have enough money today to even take care of them. But if you even educate people,
but there's free dialysis.
No, there's a cap on it, because they are saying that the free dialysis, in the next 6 months, they are going to take care of patients in less than 18 years. And 60 years and above. It's not me, an ordinary person who is my 30s or 40s.
But then if you are within the 18 to 59, 19 to 59 bracket, you enjoy.
No, but it's the sustainability of it that we are talking about. So we are looking at health preventive. That is why I have actually proposed.
I actually engaged a member of CDD last week, and he said it is actually very sustainable.
Well, it is sustainable. I mean, we mean no harm to this country, because we believe that we'll take a critical look at people that have care. I have proposed.
And he says the country has the ability to provide free for all.
Lydia, I have proposed something. And
My name is Lily.
I have proposed something. Let me put it on this platform. I think that we should go back to Parliament and pass an LI.
Okay.
But we live in this country where we have a fatal accident issues in this country. Look at the statistics. Over 1,000 people died. Over 1,000 people died around within this year on fatal road carnage. Are you aware? And these people were not patients. They were elderly people with functional kidneys. You know that. So why don't we pass an LI that when we have such issues, we take off the kidneys and then some functional organs of these people, so that we transplant it to patients who have that issue. But I understand that people will not agree. With the consent of relatives, we can do that. So I propose that we should go back to Parliament, pass an LI, so that anybody that have an accident and it passed, we should look at the functional organs, we take them and keep them and retransplant to people that are living. Don't you agree with me with this proposal?
Well, it's not up to 1,000.
I mean, just this year. But if you look at the people,
well, it's close.
Yes, it's close for just second quarter of the year. And look at last year, we have close to the number of people in the past 3 years, close to 1 million of people that have lost their life. Most of them have a functional kidney that will have used. So most of them have functional liver that will have used. Most of them have issues that we have been able to use to transplant to other patients that will have.
So organ harvesting.
Yes, those organs harvesting. We should look at it. In other jurisdictions, they do. In other jurisdictions, patients that died and have other functional organs, they transplant, even your eye or ear and those things, they just transplant with other people, the patient they live. So we should look at that. And the communicable disease should be preventive health. Okay. So I think that organizations that have partners Ghana Health Service to do partner the health sector to do this research, we also have to help us. They do. They sometimes do, sometimes they help us, but they should come in more, they give us more resource, and then we'll take care of it. But government will also have a critical look at it, invest in the healthcare. In any country that you don't invest in health and agriculture, you end up messing yourself up. But if you look at the Minister of Sanitation report, they tell us that 105 children died per annum because of malaria. And so if you look at the diagnosis of the malaria today, we need to do more of community education on and as to, because we have national mosquito net distributing center. How are we doing that to educate people to make sure they know that mosquito and the malaria even is more dangerous than HIV and other sickness that we know. People don't even
sleep in a mosquito net.
I live in an area that I use insecticide sprays a lot, so it's not basically mosquito nets, but insecticide. And then coming up in the village from Bonacha, you should know my village. We normally use leaves those days when we sleep. We have some leaves that we use to scare them in the area and keep in the room. And naturally, the mosquitoes that come. You must not have the money to be able to buy other things to do. But there's some only orthodox way we can also. So I think that and today Ghana, we think we are even blessed, but just that institutions are not working. If you go to FDA and even Ministry of Health and Ghana Health Service, we have a traditional herbal medicine department today that even have more researchers and find out that most of our plants in this country we can even use to cure most sicknesses in orthodox way than waiting to bring drugs in India and other things. So those education must go through, and we in NDC we have these plans. If you read previously our success plans in the health sector, it's one of the priority that we do. But in any case that all these things that happen, let's look at our insurance policy as well. Because when government release more funds into the service providers, we also have an appetite of going to the hospital. In the Calvin system today, yesterday or Saturday, I was on one of the platforms. Here they say that Now, a doctor was making an example that if you look at some diagnosis, maybe I want to give you a diagnosis, I need to give you Pimol. And Pimol means that paracetamol. But you have a Ghana breed and a UK brand. But maybe the National Health Insurance has billed you in the Ghana brand of 5 cedi. But the UK brand is 15 cedi. So when you access the healthcare, what they could do is that they will only bill you with the Ghana bill. Then you pay extra money on the UK brand. So people don't know, and so you go to the hospital and you end up paying.
And that was a medical doctor saying.
Yeah, that was what a medical doctor saying. Okay. And so we should look at
well,
it.
I am not aware.
Yeah, so that is why now we go to the hospital and we have to pay extra in the health in extra health insurance. We don't understand because some of the drugs that we have might not even be able to fit in your system than to you have an upgrade of a particular brand of the drugs.
I'm not sure I get your point.
That's a fact.
Hold on, I'm not sure I get your point. You say some of the drugs do not fit into our system. Why are they?
No, not fit. The crucial issues you may have. Some might be complicated, but okay. Let us say you have high blood pressure, and then the doctor, the National Health Insurance give you a drug on the Philippines. Okay, that you take. Maybe there might be other drugs that you need more than the Philippines. But when you go to the facility, they will bill you.
Does that make the Philippines not potent?
It's not potent, not potent, but it means that maybe the way your condition has become, they will need something upgrade than in the Philippines. But maybe the drug is in the Philippines that is prescribed.
But
so
nifedipine has milligrams. So
no. What I mean, so we'll talk about potent and the brand in which some brands are good. Look, paracetamol, people who like the UK brand, yes, prefer UK German, maybe rather than India or Ghanaian brand. So it depends on the condition that you have. So we actually look at e-medicine. With the e-medicine, it will help. It will curb that of the drive long way of diagnose and then bringing out conditions that are complicated. And you look at cases like typhoid preparation, which have been a major problem. So that's why I call on global communities to come out in the community water and sanitation. Then they put up more structures in the water and sanitation system. Then we have solution on this. But then the NDC government, President John Dramani Mahama has all these plans in place, and we want to stay. But in the Ghana we want together, Lydia, we think we'll come together to solve this problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nana, but my name is Lily, not Lydia.
Lydia, sorry. Okay. So, Lily.
Lily.
Sorry, I always call her Lydia.
Yes. Nana.
Do you have a record book here? Like a Guinness Book of World Records thing?
Nana.
Really, well, I don't know.
Because
you get a feeling you know where I'm going.
Yes.
Where are you going to? Let's know where you want to
go. Since you asked, you'd probably break all the records for word count per minute. Massive. Interestingly, when you take out his politics and he focuses on the issue, he does an extraordinary job of putting out information. The one that I wasn't sure of, that was a political statement, and he was wrong. But what was technical, I have no clue about. But it pushes you to go and ask questions somewhere. I wish he'd stick to that. I wish he and all those who want to politicize this report would stop that and stick to. It has nothing to do with government. It has everything to do with all of us. The report says that this was sanctioned in 2022. Yeah. So prior to that, there was no report like that.
Yeah.
So if you notice, there was no base here from which they could. That should say a lot about what we lack. So where's the politics in it? If I wanted to do politics, I say it's the MPP government that has sanctioned the report. So what? Does it not reveal shortcomings across board? So what's the point? And my candidate to do this and my candidate, that's irrelevant to this matter. What is relevant to this matter is how come we're in that state? All these years, how come we've always been in that state? Because we have. Before 2022, they were the easiest recall, Lily, and not Lydia, Lily, is the fact even people lie on the floor in Kolebu.
Yeah.
If we knew nothing else, we knew the people lie on the floor in Kolebu way before 2022. So these issues raised are not new, but sad and crucial. And we must feel the urgency of it. Personally, my angle is this. What have all these bureaucrats, all these years, been doing in their positions? Because technically that's what it is.
Yeah.
So, being set up in 99, you can check. You said Mahama, so please don't interrupt. Yes,
yeah.
and you for yourself. Now, the real issue is, what was where were all these bureaucrats when all these things were going on? Where have they been all the time? How come they are not forefront issues? How come we don't make them the concern of the public? We do everything in passing. We say things and do things, make them fashionable, so it passes. And you cannot do that about your health situation. You cannot. There's the most positive numbers here are very few. The 80-something%, 70-something%, 90-something% matters. They're very few. And you see, as far as health is concerned, we cannot afford less than 100% in anything. We should have a high standard. Do you know that people come to Ghana from other African countries for healthcare? And this is our state of affairs. Mm-hmm. If we did our work well and targeted 100% and aimed and worked at it, imagine what that would mean for health tourism. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You understand? So for me, the question is, how come we only hear about strikes? We didn't get paid well enough. We never hear about the poor state of affairs. When we do, it's impossible. A reporter happens to have gone to the hospital. Chances are the reporter's relative got hit, or some friend or some situation has come, and therefore or out. Go into why is it that Mr. X, Madam Y, you are head of this facility in this. These facilities have not been doing well for ages. What have you done about it? I sent the report to the next level. Next level, what did you do about it? I sent the report to the next level. You need to follow through. Come back and find out whether, even when you sent the report, did you follow up to find out what's going on? And who are the people who resisted? Expose people. And exposing them is not politics.
Nana, hold on for me. Please don't lose your stream of thoughts. I want to take a quick break here, and then when I return, then you can continue for me. This is GH Today, The Breakfast with You. We're back shortly. Welcome back to the show. This is still GH today here on GHONE TV. Still on the breakfast review. We're discussing a health service survey report which was put out by the Ghana Health Service, which puts damning revelations about our current state of affairs when it comes to health care delivery. Nana, you are making your point before the break.
I hope the butterflies and umbrellas have been removed from the
The umbrella protects you.
who, me?
Yes.
But Nana, it's raining, you know.
It's
We're
raining,
in the
so you
rainy
need an
season,
umbrella.
so you need
I
an
don't use
umbrella.
an umbrella.
You see beautiful butterflies.
Yeah, the butterfly also like a good.
The umbrellas are remember he said he uses insecticides to he killed all the butterflies. So you know, we were talking about how serious this matter is, and I was laying it on bureaucrats, those in the system. Somebody brags, I've been in the system for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. What were you doing about this?
Yeah.
And then it comes to we the public. I noticed one of the statistics talked about incubators. And I was thinking about Sarfo-Kantanka.
Yeah.
He's put out he's targeted, I think, 100 incubators, and he's done over 50 of them. So if
This is an individual.
Yes, if in 2022, and I think he started before that.
Yes, he did.
So if they now did the survey after 2022, whose incubators are they counting? Which then points you to what are individuals like you and I, institutions like the private enterprises and all, who benefit from these communities? What do they do to support these institutions? Because they should. When we point to a government, I don't care which party is in government when it comes to these matters. When you point to a government and you honestly believe that that government must be able to cover all the costs, you are ridiculously off track. It is not possible. Nowhere in the world is any government doing 100% of healthcare, and that healthcare system is up there. Which means that we must all be interested. And it's not just, it's not just about getting a name because you helped put up a facility or you put in equipment. It's about helping to make sure we all live healthy. So your credit goes into helping, and he used the word preventive medicine, particularly helping in that space. That's when your contribution counts. And we should learn to do that. CHIPS compounds need help. They need a lot of help in our various communities. Everybody is from somewhere.
Yeah.
You're not from Accra.
Oh, there are some people from Accra, by the way.
No, the majority. The people who are not from Accra, they know who we're talking about. The Accra people, we know them. Yeah, we know the Accra people. You're not from Accra. You're not from Tamale. You're not from Kumasi. Go home. And go and help establish these things and support them. It helps. So we need to look at the total picture. And I'm saying, when you bring in politics, you have failed everybody. There is a time for that. And that time is when we've all done our part. And you need, for example, regulation. He brings a great point about this organ transplant.
Organ harvesting and transplant, yeah.
Great point about the fact that we should get into that. One of the starting points for that is education and awareness from schools, from churches, from mosques, all those places where our people gather. There must be education about that. So while legislation is being sought after, people are being prepared in their minds to appreciate that. Enyabe said, for your organs to have been harvested and donated. We need to understand that the very science, you know, this mentality where we talk about, we used to tease people. Nowadays, it's not as big a conversation. When I was growing up, it was. When they say, somebody will tell you that, Dr. Nonye Papa, Adaya Wawa me pani.
Yes.
That mentality. Yeah. So if you have...
It means you've not been treated well.
As far as you're concerned, there's no... no doctor is a doctor worth their salt if they didn't inject you.
Yeah.
That was the mentality then. But here's the science of that mentality. You have a belief in modern medicine.
Yeah.
If you do, then you must also appreciate that the science shows that you can harvest organs and support lives with it. So we need to get out of that mentality. We need to build that awareness so that people appreciate all of this. When the legislation is come, they snap. These are cut and paste legislations. The sociology around us, I'm sure that scientists, social scientists and medicals who appreciate those things and will know how to tweak the legislation. Right. So, and you see, that's why I say, for example, that we don't even hold our legislators properly responsible for their work. We allow them to sway us into spaces that have nothing to do with our well-being per se. They do it for their politics, and we don't get the proper services from it. So all of these come to this report. There is something in there that tells us that Ghanaians must wake up to their own responsibilities. When you walk into a facility and they don't have X, Y, Z, there are two things. One, if you're capable of raising that help, you should do that. Two, if somebody in there responsible for it is not doing it, you must set up that person. This thing where we try and protect people from their responsibilities because there's a fear they'll lose their jobs. Of course, they're supposed to lose their jobs. Otherwise, you're going to die. We need to understand these things. Report people for what they are responsible for and are failing at. On all levels. And people must take action. Otherwise, they don't deserve to be in places. When people talk about and people are not paid well and they don't have the right facilities and all that, I don't know whether anybody does a throwback at the history of healthcare in this country. And when people would leave Ghana, go abroad to the spaces like Oxford and what have you, learn their medicine, come back, and they're sent to rural areas. And they stayed. And they helped. And they helped establish some of these hospitals we now talk about that are 50 years old and all of that. Were they not human beings? They didn't have electricity. They didn't have flowing water, and yet they went. So what is this thing where we insist that it must exist before we come? The people who live there who don't have it, as for them, we need to redirect our thinking. When there's somebody does that, if it is considered a sacrifice, and under circumstances you can classify it as a sacrifice, and the person goes to that space and does the work in spite of the lack of this and lack of that and improves the place, we must learn to give credit. We don't. That's the other flaw in our system. We don't recognize people for their achievements. We don't recognize people for their volunteerism. We don't recognize people for their support. So the person wonders, why should I bother? The person doesn't want money. These days we say everything is money. There are some people who don't have money and don't really want money. They just want to be appreciated for their effort. And we fail in that. So it's a total picture, Lily. Not lady. It's a total picture of us having to look at this report seriously, and it feeds into all kinds of spaces, our cultural spaces, truly our political spaces, our economic spaces, everything. We must look at this seriously. I'd hope that GH1 TV and all your stations would take this thing apart in bits, reduce it to the same thing, and particularly deal with bureaucrats and then public. The bureaucrats, let's hold them. Why are you not doing this? If they pass the blame and they can stand on their feet, they should point at who they are blaming. Let's follow through and find out and hold people responsible. And then for the citizenry, when you can help, go and help. It's your hometown. Go and help put up a chips compound. Help let them fill the place with the paracetamol and whatever else that's needed. Let's do these things. That's my take on this matter.
Thank you. You want to do? Okay, okay. Quick one before we move on.
So all that Nana has been doing is to shift blame from the government, to the people. And I think that's a bit unfair. And with his concluding remarks, I picked some very insensitive comments about health workers. Look, they take joy and pride in working in rural areas. I have moved around the country on some of these missions. You meet them, and sometimes you are even encouraged to give them what you have. But most important, beyond the facility existing for access, is that the health facility should create demand. All right, so how do they create this demand? It should have the requisite skill set, that's the personnel, to be able to give or offer a particular health service. Now you go to a facility and there's no midwife, and you are saying it is because the people are you don't talk like that. That's a bit insensitive. There's a government, all we citizens have given all our power, all our powers, our power to allocate resources, our power to create and even regulate the conduct of everybody in this country. We've given it all to the president and his people. And so for someone who is deeply connected to the presidency and, very much involved in government, it's a bit unfortunate for him to be talking the way he went. You have to empathize with the health workers too. They are doing so much out there. We don't pay our taxes to them. Government takes the taxes. They are supposed to create the enabling conditions to allow these people go out there and work. If you don't do it, they can only do as far as their consciences and convictions will allow them. But it's not so binding, because everybody lives in a home. It has taken international development agencies like the World Bank, WHO, JICA, and some of these agencies to improve health system in Ghana. The real question I want to ask is, what has government been doing? What have we been doing? It's all about procurement, how to make money out of healthcare. What has government been doing? I mean, you go to the rural areas, even at the cities. Ask yourself, so you're saying Sarfo-Kantanka is contributing incubators and all that. That's good. We clap for him. But what is government doing? Sarfo-Kantanka doesn't take taxes. What is government doing? These international agencies are planting chips facilities across the country. What is government doing? Just create the incentives to allow these health workers to go and work in a harmonized environment. And it comes back to our economy that is crashed. You feel it most when you're in the rural areas with no light, no access to even water. Some live in communities and have to travel to get water from nearby. It's bad. And so the least you can do, can you imagine it took JICA and some of these agencies to build boreholes in communities around the chip zones to allow health workers get water to drink. And so if the people are not going, we can't so much chastise them. We can't make it look like there's no commitment, there's no patriotism. No, there is. There are people, the ineptitude of public office holders, government, the president and his people, the health ministers. They are the ones we are supposed to put the blame on, and not the people. They are there. You go to the facilities that are not so equipped. There are people there. They are working. But they don't have the tools and equipment to work. What more can they do? They can only do innovations and all that. I mean, I ran a project that put so much pressure on the people. We gave them small incentives, and you saw everything was working out. Throughout the health delivery structure at the local level, you realize most of the actors are appointed by government. DC, community, district planning officers, all these people are government workers. There are people who are supposed to be kept working. Their conditions are determined by government. So if government is not providing these conditions, you can't blame the people. They are doing their jobs. let government do its job. It's not enough to blame them and make it look like they don't love Ghana. They are not going to their communities to donate. Where's the money? I want to do. Where's the money? Government is sitting on our coffers. They should do their job. Allow people to also do what they are trained to do. Thank you.
So Lily, that's what I think my brother said it all. You see, government, yes, government has a major responsibility.
They are both heading towards me. I will not.
I'll give you a minute.
No, he's going to do the same.
See, government has a responsibility to play. I recall in our government, what we did was that we know areas like island communities. When we talk about island communities that are not accessible for us to, it's not most, unless you use a canoe or a speedboat to cross. We partners. I have worked with Japan International Cooperation Agency before on renewable energy, JICA. In fact, JICA took me to TEC to do renewable energy, solar PV dissemination. So what we did with the government is that we realized that the vessels that we're having to the island communities and communities that was not hooked to national grid, they can't hold the vessels. So early morning, maybe the midwife or the nurse have to move from an island community to the district hospital. So we did that. We did solar PV dissemination in those communities. So in partnership with government, we need to go there, put in solar system in the facilities. Then we'll put in solar fridges, so that we'll be able to make sure we keep the vessels. So the point I'm trying to make is that the donors partners have a critical eye look on this on the healthcare system, and that's why we came out with this report. So if you sit there and think that we as individuals and corporate responsibility, corporate bodies should go and play responsibility in our area, yes, we do in our own way. There's no way, Lily, that you go to a village that you don't pay hospital bills. There's no way that you sit here today that people don't call you for hospital bills. That is your corporate responsibility. The government responsibility. You talk about nurses and then what they do in the country. When we had COVID, I work in the health sector, part of my life. When we had COVID, the government promised the nurses and the doctors that they were going to give their incentives, isn't it? For on the incentives. And then we have something we call, I've forgotten the name. Tell me today, those people have sacrificed. A lot of them even lost their lives during the COVID time. Most doctors have been contracted, had COVID, and they died. Nurses had the same issue. Today, tell me whether they have been paid. I think they're not sacrificing for this country. They are doing their best. We have facilities that the previous government have put in there today. Those facilities are rotten, and people are dying there. How many times that we call HEFRA? HEFRA is a regulatory body. That the private facilities have been, today you are happy going to the private facilities than government facilities. So government is sleeping over their jobs. You talk about procurement. Go to the Ministry of Health and see what is happening. We have a situation now today. We are even prosecuting people. Once we have ambulances, we don't want to distribute them. We pack them and then prosecuting people to go to jail because of the interest of government. So the government have been sleeping on their job. And I think that this report, the donor partners had taken a critical look at it, because if you look at the WHO, you look at MDG, I think Go 11 has a role in playing in all those things. And so if you look at this, what is government doing today? There are hospitals that have been dumped, nurses are there that have not been posted to facilities, doctors are there that have not been posted. As I'm talking to you now, the PAs, physician assistants, are all home. They are not in the pharmacist assistant. These are all things that government have to do. Put in more measures, put nurses and midwives across the country, the facilities, educate the people, give them incentives. They will work. They are human beings who will have an enable environment. Lily, as you are here and you are comfortably working, GH1 has given you a role to play. And you are doing your role. If I don't have a role to play, and government is still infiltrating in everything, government minister have to go to the village and procure for a cheap compound, while there's no good rules for the people and the magicians. They can do anything.
Okay, Nana, you want to?
I find it very unfortunate that these two gentlemen find it important to do what they did, and they're laughing about it. Why did I?
Serious, I'm not laughing.
But he was laughing.
It's so pity.
Did you hear? Did you hear him? Did you hear him?
No, I didn't.
Okay, then when
I was focusing on you.
And when you were talking, did I say anything?
No, not at all.
Nana, please,
What's your problem?
please go on.
You've totally misinterpreted what I've said and tried very hard to paint me black to the world. Meanwhile, there's no basis for it.
How?
What I said was, for those who, when they are being sent, make these demands on us, what about those who have been able to go there and not make those demands? You didn't hear that. And you know, where's you was on that one? I said that very clearly. I said, those who do that, is it everybody? I mean, that's not a literate comment you just made. To think that all that I said had nothing to do with government. This report was sanctioned after 2022. You're sitting here telling us where you used to work. All the reports you're giving, isn't it about before 2022, before 2020, before 2016? So you want to sit here and think that you are absolved of it? You make comments about the president, the ministers, it's the sitting ministers who have got this thing over years. When I made reference to the fact that we knew about beds, people sleeping on the floor, that one, you didn't refer to that, because that one is not in 2024 when Akufo-Addo is president. I mean, are we trying to properly deal with issues, or we're getting caught up in trying to be seen to do our politics so that we sound right? Is that where we're going?
That's what you're doing.
What is your problem?
You want to sound right.
No, please allow him. And we have to move to our next topic.
Yes.
Quickly.
Listen, the report states clearly, and they said they had read it too. Meanwhile, I just sat here and read it. And it says very clearly, in 2022, Ghana adopted the WHO Harmonized Health Facility Assessment. Isn't that what we're going through now?
Yes.
2022, when it says Ghana did that, which Ghana? Wasn't it Ghana and Akufo-Addo? If the government didn't find it prudent to do all of this, would it not get us to this point where we're raising these issues? So I'm saying, why? Did I mention Akufo-Addo in my previous submission? Put that aside. Let's deal with some of the key issues.
You can't put Akufo-Addo aside. How do you put Akufo-Addo aside?
No, you see, I was very clear. I said, we're talking about nitty-gritties on the ground. Very detailed concerns. Very big problems. We talked off air about Tamale Hospital and other places. You want to tell me that if you are president...
And we learned that there are a lot of indiscipline stuff when it...
all of the indiscipline.
Yeah.
Akufo-Addo went and sat there and said, don't mind people. And he was directing people to do that. And that's what I'm saying. When you and I leave here, God forbid we have to go to a hospital. Are you going to meet Akufo-Addo or the health minister there? And that's where the problem lies. The problem lies in the personnel as well. Those bureaucrats who get this information, who see this information. Is it not true that you go to some hospitals and some people will tell you you're better off?
But the report highlights a very critical aspect.
Yeah.
Ill-equipped.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm saying,
which is at the doorstep of government.
Good.
And the president says the buck stops with me.
Good. And if now you go to my comment, you go to community hospital A, and there's a basic bed problem. Who reports on that? And when the report went, where did it go to? Who followed through? Eventually, when it comes to the buck stopping,
But that's why I have EFRA.
Hold on.
Wouldn't you have gone through quite a few steps? Who didn't do their job? That's what we want to know. That's what we ought to want to know. Who didn't do their job? Because once you've understood that, then you begin to make people responsible for their work. And then real things get done.
Okay.
And that's the argument. If people refuse to understand that and they want to do politics with it, and now my brother is even talking about, and me, I'm in government.
Okay.
Am I helping?
Okay, so
when you are making comments, don't come and sit around.
Let's move on to our next topic.
I want to remind you. I'm not going to talk. I'm not
betraying your government.
I'm just reminding you.
They are not in government.
The president has appointed the chief executive officer for HEFRA. That's the Health Regulation Authority.
Yeah.
So there's a
So have you gone to the person to ask what has happened so far?
That's so
Have you been there
responsibility.
to ask?
So you don't blame anybody.
Okay,
So if you're
gentlemen,
an incompetent person,
let's
it's your
quickly
problem.
move on to our next topic. Now, over the weekend, the member of the NPP parliamentary candidate for Amenfi East was in the news and for comments about elite mining, Galamsey. And he says, if soldiers come to you, the miners. He was speaking. He was at an event speaking to miners. If they come to you making certain demands, resist them, beat them up. And I will be here to offer support. Let's listen to him. Let's listen to that audio, and then my guests can make inputs on that.
road business. It is a while through now 5 million, 3 million, 10 million. Now the regional price of 1 the man. Sadly, because the police for this is going out around the office, cases are. More man, you know, who you have to do. And you see, or people petrol, as I said, when they are. So while full money, the wild person of the man, on board the mama. But so you never said, or you saw your negative too much pay, but too control my own day and track ideas or more of my power. Oh, yes.
Okay. So you had the Ernest Frimpong. He's the NPP parliamentary candidate for Amenfi East, and he says if these security men, i.e. the soldiers, police officers, come resist them, beat them up, when you do that, I will be here to offer my support. Nana?
Yeah. I think it's a very unfortunate comment he's made. And I'm wondering, I'm hoping to hear something positive about whether he's been talked to, whether he's been met. It's a serious matter. I don't think that he's well versed in exactly how this matter must be dealt with.
He says the Galamsey fight is over. You are in government. Is the Galamsey fight over?
It cannot be over. It's not a matter of being in government. Come to my hometown area and tell me that is a matter of being in government. Knock on wood, if for any strange reason, unforeseen reason, the NPP loses the next election, what's that got to do with me being in government and my water body? So we need to stop that. The issue is, does he understand the depth of this concern to the point where he thinks this is a campaign statement? I'm worried. It's my party person. Serious problem. The fact that the president's been working hard against this. I believe one of the topics you raise, he's even talking about the need for staying green or becoming green.
Green Ghana Day was
and
last
that means
Friday.
that you don't do galamsey. We just finished talking about health issues. The depth of the health effects from galamsey, we haven't even scratched the surface. We don't do a good job of discussing that. You know, all of those matters. So it's very scary that a parliamentary candidate will find it prudent to make a statement like that. And let me do the preemption. Again, people don't like to hear me say this, but I'll say it. You can do all the politics you want, but everybody is guilty. Everybody is guilty. We know people who promote this thing. Nobody, neither this gentleman who's from the NPP or any other party person from any other party, has the right to want to destroy our environment because they want political office. It's important that we understand that. Nobody, it doesn't matter which political party you belong to, has the right to destroy our environment because you want your political power. And I'm saying that because I know that if it for any strange reason, well, it won't be strange. If the next speaker after me happens to be the NDC person, he has to watch his words. We have had NDC people have themselves filmed encouraging people to do galamsey because Mr. Mahama will bring it back. You see, so we need to be careful. Across board, it is a problem. And I'm waiting to hear what the NPP would have told this gentleman. I think that people need to be educated on it so that they're careful about what they do. There's also the matter of political material. Who's going where? How we nominate our representatives and all of that. Because you want to challenge them to understand what the mission of the country is in terms of direction. So if the person coming in doesn't fully appreciate that, then you need to ask questions. We really need to ask questions of all the people. This parliament we have, for example, as for me, I dare say, it has been a very disappointing parliament. And the evidence is in the human resource and where they've taken us when it comes to debates. We have to be careful going into the future. This cannot be the kind of mentality we want to take into the future. I'd hope that he'll be reoriented to understand that and probably apologize to us on that score.
Okay. Richard.
So timing and scary. And this call for a serious national security intervention. If there's even a need for CIA and other international security to intervene, this is the time we need to intervene in these issues. For that comment that has been made by the parliamentary candidate, aided by the RESEC chairman, it's where I got scared. Because the RESEC chairman was there. You know who's the RESEC chairman? The regional minister was sitting right behind the speaker, aided, because he went there to meet the miners with him. And so what was his motive as a regional chairman, a regional minister, who is the chairman of the Regional Security Council, would a parliamentary candidate call all the miners, whether they're legal or illegal miners, and make this statement? And if you really further listen to the statement, what they are saying is that when they are patrolling and they say they are coming to do patrol, that's the patrol means that you're coming to protect them. They should give them food, they should give them money for them to go. And so if they refuse taking the money and they want to intimidate them, they should beat the military up. You are telling us our defense, those people, the defense should be beaten up because of your illegal miners. You are telling us that today, where we have gotten to, that we spend much on fighting Galamsey. We start in this country, we spend millions of dollars for Galam Stop. Operation what and what and what. We spend huge money, we spend media space. It was you and your colleagues that brought the fight of Galamsey, and all of us supported it. And every ordinary Ghanaian supported, including the president. And the president's appointee took a parliamentary aspirant, a candidate, not even a member of parliament, to go and tell us to beat the military up. And tell us today, and tell me, Richard, today that now Galamsey fight is over. Meanwhile, you are spending millions of dollars planted trees to recover this Galamsey situation. And in this case, it's so serious. We shouldn't look at it holistically. National security must intervene. And other communities now today, global change, whatever it is, climate change, has invested a lot of money in this country to make sure that we be able to hold on to our climate.
Okay.
And you sit here and tell us this is so scary. I don't know whether you travel along the western and central region. Recently, I was in Chifu, to Praso, to Ayamfori. The exportation of water that they export in Accra to that area to drink, you have no idea. People cannot wash their clothes. Today, if you go to all those areas, taps are not running. I'm talking about health. Hospitals cannot run a tap unless they buy water from outskirts of the town to be able to take care of patients. And the government is solely aware to tell us today. Because I would say that the Nanado Baumia government is telling the Galamsey fight is over. You know, I would say that the regional minister was involved, who is also a member of parliament. You are telling the Galamsey fight is over, and for that matter, anybody that you see, any security personnel, no wonder we live in this country. Just of reason that people were jailed because of killing Adam Mahama. People lost their life in the Galamsey fight. Today, go and look at the health status in those kidney, liver, and other situations in the mining area. And you have moral, you have the heart of people you are going to represent in parliament to tell them that they should kill them, beat them up. If you beat somebody up, you know the results of it. We've been in this country where security personnel were beaten up and they lost their lives. And we sit here and think it's a joke. I think that every ordinary Ghanaian must come on board, and the regional minister must step down immediately. Okay. Because it was just of recent, there was a news circulating that one of his drivers has taken his money away, and they said it was a lie. And today, look at what is happening. So this is not the government we want. This is not the people that want to lead us. But I will tell you, let me learn. The President John Dramani Mahama, as I yesterday, we had this heard this audio, and he was so worried. I can assure you that we will find a way to make sure that we will curb the manners of this galamsey. You see, they tell us that even if somebody say that this illegal money will come, he didn't say go and beat up security officers. We are so worried about this issue, and we take it
thank you.
seriously.
Michael, we have limited time, so let me allow
really,
you.
So when some of these things happen, it strengthens my resolve to follow the Honorable Alan Martin very well, because he understands the problem. It is he that identified what we call the arrogance of power in the current MPP, the brutish behavior. How did MPP get here? I mean, these comments, these reactions should be relegated to the NDC, who are coming from.
What do you mean by that?
No.
Who are coming from?
When you were talking,
No, but you shouldn't do that.
When you were talking, you didn't.
No.
We have
When you were talking,
no, let him land, then I can come in. No.
It's very unfair.
I'm offended. I haven't said
It's
it.
very unfair.
You are offended.
No. It's very unfair.
Who Mahama endorses galamsey?
You
You should be relegated to the NDC, who are coming from a background which their flag bearer himself is proud to say, they are coming from a background of fightings, and when it comes to unleashing violence and all that.
But
President Mahama said it.
Yes,
Lily, you should allow me to make the point.
Okay,
Yes,
please.
Yeah, so
we're out of time,
if they take pride in unleashing
go
violence,
with
I
this
would
statement,
expect
Yes,
that
you
to
can.
happen
You can.
with the NDC. But now you see,
you can.
it's pervasive. The MPP is now doing it. It should tell you how bad the 32 years under this duopoly has been. And I will on this occasion ask Ghanaians to take a critical look at our choices going forward. If this guy gets into parliament, he's not even a parliamentarian yet. He's a candidate. And he's saying they should beat military and these guys up. Last year, I was waiting for a military friend at home. He was not coming. He kept giving dates and changing. Then he finally turns up. He's like, oh, we went to Chufuprasu area. We've spent weeks on canoes arresting these galamsey people, only for a call to come from Jubilee House that released them. And they had to. He said, Sarfo-Kantanka. You guys in the military, you know this. They know it. You sit in the helipads, do all the surveillance, and a simple call from power wielders will say, hey, release them. That's the problem we face. Abuse of power, the arrogance of power holders. And that's why galamsey is not stopping. And that's why you need someone very credible, someone with integrity at heart, with a proven track record of integrity, like Alan Martin, to come and lead that fight against all these untutored hands in the helm of affairs. All they know is money, vultures, beasts, greedy people, driven by money and material things, and so they want to destroy. How do you engage in galamsey as something that has existential threat to all of us? Now they've destroyed water bodies. Mercury is creating all kinds of problems, kidney infections here and there. And yet the law enforcement guys trying to safeguard the situation, trying to save Ghana, defending our territories, they're saying they should beat them. Oh, my friend. How did we get here?
Okay.
How did we get here? Really?
Unfortunately, we're out of time.
We have to get rid of this MPP NDC thing. It's
Which is that?
you guys, I'm not done.
Please allow him. We're out of
Let
time.
me land. At least let me land.
In this conversation.
Michael, we're out of time, so please land.
It's very important we get rid
We're out
of
of
this
time.
duopoly.
it's
You know,
for GH1.
what they've been involving themselves in for the past 32 years is evident in the kind of degradation we see. Land degradation, they've emptied our pockets, they've emptied our coffers, our nation is in ruins.
Your video.
We need a savior,
Your
that
video
is
did
Alan
not
Martin, to come and
include
save
a
us from
voice
these
from
people.
the regional minister. This
know.
comment by this
Yes, the
gentleman
video
is
did
going to
not include, yes.
So this comment by this gentleman, as if the minister condoned it,
But he was there himself.
it's not
Now
called
they are going
for.
to fight.
But he
There's
made
no
the minus. The
basis
minister made the
for it.
minus.
So
What
for
was
your
doing?
safety, I think you should put a disclaimer on him And
What
so
disclaimer?
that if the minister, because you don't have evidence.
No, but he was
Well, he was sitting there with any
my wife. You think he's being?
No, I didn't say he
was,
said that. I didn't say the minister.
he was impatient like
He
this.
sat
That's
in
when
the meeting.
somebody's talking and you
So
talk.
he ate it.
So
He
you should
sat
have
in the
said
meeting
something.
because this was the PC and the minister was the chairman of the was in that meeting.
But did you hear him? Did you hear him talking?
Because we don't have the minister's
You
sound
don't.
bite. We cannot say
So
that he
put a
condoned
disclaimer
it.
on it.
We cannot say that
That's
he
all I'm
condoned it.
advising you. Let him do his politics. Do your disclaimer.
Speak what the original minister was there. What capacity?
Okay, gentlemen.
Lily, do you know that today, as I'm talking to you, we imported 2.5 billion worth of shelled nut from Burkina Faso to Ghana?
When we have a lot of share trees.
No, the trees have been cut and not ready for Ghana, I'm saying.
You sent the
But
guinea fowls
there's some
there.
people producing
All the
share.
trees have been cut there.
Not all the trees.
Oh, the trees have been cut.
You cannot.
You
No,
sent
no,
the
no.
guinea fowls.
I know people who
sent
are
the-
doing share production.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I am a
nothing to
non-net
do.
too.
Oh, why? Because
I
they
am
are
a
not
non-net
nationwide.
too. You cannot
So
say
what?
that all
Oh,
the trees have been cut down. That is not correct.
Your representation of the North.
That is not correct.
No, no, firewood.
That is not correct, Richard. But thank you very much,
You sat in the
gentlemen.
north and allowed the guinea fowls to eat.
Thank you very much. So that's it for the breakfast review. Nana Fredi Ajimanu Furiata is board chair for the National Theatre. He's a member of the NPP communications team. Richard Manuebe is former deputy director for YA, former parliamentary aspirant for Nkwanta South, and a member of the NDC communications team. And Michael Sarfo-Kantanka is communications team member for the Movement for Change. That's it for the breakfast review. We take a quick break here. When we return, there's more here on J Today. Stay tuned in.